This afternoon, we are here in my house in an area that we're still kind of remodeling. Uh, but beside me here, I have our Lettuce Grow farm stand. Now, here at Bob's, we're in no way affiliated with Lettuce Grow, but their system is what I chose for my own house. And I contacted them and got permission to share it here on Bob's Live. So this is a hydroponic growing system that you can set up in your own house, and it is extremely easy to operate. Basically, you set a couple timers, one timer for the lights and another timer for the pump, and then you only have to do maintenance on it about once every 1 to 2 weeks. And basically that consists of topping off the water tank and adding nutrients to it, and then also checking and adjusting the pH. So as you can see here, I've got some crops like this butter lettuce that's just about ready to harvest. And then one level up, I have some plants. It's actually more butter lettuce that's a little bit younger. So what I do is with each level, I kind of cycle crops through. But I've had this up and running now for about 3 months, and I've cycled a number of crops through it. But right now what I need to do is start emptying out rings, working toward a quarterly maintenance. So once every 3 months, it's recommended that you basically disassemble it, clean it really good, and do what they call a reset. So right now I'm not going to plant any new seedlings, and anything that I empty out, I have basically little cups that I can insert in that kind of blank off that hole. So let me get us in a little bit closer and I can show you a little bit more about how this works. Okay, so here we are a little bit closer to the Lettuce Grow. And each level has 6 growing cups. And this unit is 6 levels tall, so I can grow 36 plants in here at once. And what I did to kind of help keep things organized is I have a little tag right here that I can basically scan, and I have a spreadsheet that I use to keep track of everything because, hey, I'm an IT guy. But here you can see this is younger Butter Crunch lettuce, and then this is some that's just about ready to be harvested. Probably later on this week, I'll be pulling these out and harvesting them. But the way this works is it's not really aeroponics, where you kind of water with a mist, and it's not really hydroponics, where you flood a chamber and then kind of go on an ebb and flow cycle. So this, it kicks on and then water trickles down through it. And it's designed in such a way that the level above funnels water into the level below. But you're basically growing without soil, or well, without very much soil. There's a little tiny plug of soil here, and then the roots just kind of grow out into the chamber behind it and kind of down through. So something that I do have to do periodically is go in and do some root trimming, because things like the tomatoes down on the bottom, their roots get extremely long and they'll actually grow down into the bottom of the tank, and potentially they could plug up the pump. But if I'm really careful here, this plant's a little bit younger, so it's a little bit easier to pull out. I can pop out the cup, and here you can see the roots. So this plant, it's a little bit younger. It's been in here for a couple weeks. I actually started it from seed. But right there is all the soil that there is. And then you can see just the root growth coming out the back. So yeah, I started these from seed under grow lights, actually just right in my kitchen. And it takes about a week to 2 weeks to start seed depending on their germination rate. And then I just transplant them into the little cage. And let me be careful here feeding the roots back in that I don't chop any off. And that's all there is to it. So it's really fairly maintenance free. Like I said, about once a week to every 2 weeks I have to do maintenance on it, where I add fertilizer and check the levels. And that's what takes the longest amount of time, which it takes about an hour to do the weekly maintenance on it. And again, me being me, I keep a whole spreadsheet of information like the temperature, humidity, water temperature, how much nutrients I need to add. I'm also measuring what's called the EC level, or the electrical conductivity of the water. And that you can sort of translate into how much or what the nutrient concentration is in the water. So by doing that, I'm able to keep a little bit closer track of the nutrient levels. So I'm getting ready to empty out this layer up above right here. And it has a Swiss chard that's growing in it currently. And that kind of brings me to the next topic. So let's bump up to there. All right, so while I was moving the camera, the heat kicked on here in my house, which I have overhead heating vents, and that actually works out good for where I have the hydroponic tower positioned, because one of the things that you do need around this is airflow. And it does a number of things. First of all, like things like tomatoes, it actually helps with the pollination of them where I'm growing inside. But also getting airflow in around it is important, because as the plants are growing, they're doing photosynthesis, and that kind of creates a bubble of oxygen around it. So with periodic airflow kicking on, that clears away the oxygen and just helps the plants grow. So the Swiss chard that I have growing in this ring, it's been in here for right around a month. And it's starting to look pretty ragged, because Swiss chard, along with things like leaf lettuces, you can kind of do a cut and come again process where you can trim off. So I can come in if I'm wanting to cook something. I can come in and cut off a few leaves just as I'm cooking. So I actually just made some ramen noodles a little bit ago, and I added some Swiss chard to it. But I do need to clean these out. And what I'm going to do is just blank off these holes until I get ready to do the reset. So down below, I've got 2 bowls. I've got an orange one here, or I'm colorblind, this is yellow. But I have a yellow one that I'm going to put my scraps in. They're going to head out to the compost pile. And then I also have a Tupperware bowl where I'm going to put everything that's going to head into the kitchen. So with harvesting, I easily get enough for my wife and I to have at least 1 to 2 salads a day. And I'm not talking small salads, I'm talking, you know, a good sized salad bowl a day. And what we try to do is rotate crops. So as I'm finishing up a ring and emptying it out, I usually have seedlings starting to head into the Let's Grow tower. But in this case, since I'm heading toward doing a reset, I want to start emptying this out, and then I'm going to start replanting it after the reset, kind of in stages. So the seed trays that I have, I can do 12 seedlings in, which is 2 rings. So I'll probably start one tray of seedlings in 1 week, then another tray the next week, and then probably another tray the week after that, once I do the reset. But with these today, I'm going to be pulling them out and actually plugging up the holes with this. And this is one of the baskets, and I don't know who discovered this on the Let Us Grow Facebook page, but you can use a little red Solo shot glass and it pops right into the little cups, and then you can pop those in, and what that does is it just keeps water from splashing out. You can see where I've reused these. It's got some nutrient buildup around the bottom, but it keeps water from splashing out. Also, if I were growing outdoors, if you had a lot of light getting in, there's the danger of algae. So this kind of helps mitigate that risk. But for indoors, it's more to just prevent water from splashing out. So let me go ahead and pop this guy out. So we saw a plant that was younger. This plant has been in for about a month, and you can see the root growth there. You can also see a little bit of dark roots. So that's some roots that have kind of died just during the process of growing. So let me set those down, and then what I'm going to do, and kind of clean that out a little bit. This is also a good time to check. Right there, some roots from the layer above that's kind of sticking down through. I can kind of feel around there and feel if those holes are blocked. And it feels okay because up above here, I have some violas. Which violas, they're an edible plant. And yeah, we pick off the blooms and add those as a garnish to our salads. I can just pop that in, and I'm going to work my way around here. Alright, so I've finished harvesting the Swiss chard, and this is how much I got just off that one ring. And the great thing is where I'm growing it indoors, I don't have to worry about pesticides or really even dirt or anything like that being on it. So we can literally just pick it right off of the hydroponic tower and just eat it. So, oh yeah, that tastes garden fresh with the nutrient mix. And you know, this is ready to go. And the great thing is, if you're buying lettuce at the store, you know, it's been sitting on a shelf for who knows how long. This is freshly picked. One of the things that we were surprised by when we started growing our own lettuce hydroponically is it lasts forever in the fridge. So this, it'll last a good 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator, just sealed up and kept cool. So let's take a look at some of the other stuff that I have planted here in our hydroponic tower. Alright, so starting up here at the top, I have, as I mentioned, some violas, and these make a great garnish for salads. And a lot of people don't know it, but violas and pansies are actually edible, so you can use them in salads. And on around up here I have, this is some spearmint, and then here on the back side I have some cilantro. And the cilantro and this mint, which I don't know if I'm going to keep the mint in here, it just, I mean, look at it, it's growing out the top of it. It grows insanely fast, and I don't cook with that much mint. I add some to my tea, but that's about it. So it really is just taking up space, and I'm not really utilizing it as much as I probably should. So I might try transplanting it outside once the weather gets warmer. And then around here, another thing that I do eat a lot of, but again, it's just growing faster than I can use it, is dill. And it's actually growing out the top. And I've actually got a nice little bloom going on, so I might make some dill pickles. And right here we can see the cilantro, which we do use the cilantro quite a lot. So I'll cut off an entire bunch of it at one time. One of our favorite recipes to make with cilantro is a Mexican bean salad. So we'll make that. I can actually make like 2 batches of it a week just off of this one cilantro plant. And then while I was kind of reorganizing, I moved down here some spinach. And then around here, I have a little pepper plant that I have started. Now, the thing with the lettuce grow is that I only have about a foot of space in between each ring. So any plants that you pick that tend to get larger, like a pepper plant or like the dill up here, you want to make sure that you get compact varieties. So it's a variety called Mini Bell, and it produces little teeny tiny bell peppers. And then, of course, this ring had the chard in it that I just now picked. Down below, we have the butter lettuce. And here you can kind of see my little labels a little bit up close. So the app that I use to keep track of these, it uses 2D barcodes. So I can scan the barcode and then pull up the information on this slot. And that way I'm tying the information to an individual slot. So when I move something around like this guy that I just moved from up here, I'm going to have to update that information a little bit later, but that's pretty easy to do. Down below this Butter Crunch lettuce, I have this variety of Butter Crunch, which this variety is a straight kind of run-of-the-mill green variety. This is actually a dappled variety, so you can see the dappling there in it, which is really interesting. And then around here, I have an oak leaf lettuce. And this oak leaf lettuce, it is just amazing because these stems, they are just so juicy. I mean, whenever I pick it, I can just see the moisture coming out of it. So let me break off a piece there, and you can see how thick and juicy that is. And I never thought I would describe vegetables, especially lettuce, as juicy, but that is the perfect description for something like this. And then we'll drop down to the next level here. This is kind of a classic variety that you see seed packs for in stores. And this I grew from seed. This is black-seeded Simpson leaf lettuce. And then over here, I have a leaf lettuce mix. So you can see there's a few different varieties, and these were all planted in one single plug. So there's like 3 or 4 different varieties of leaf lettuce here. And then this one, it's starting to grow back. Just harvested it the other day. But it's got some new growth coming out on it. So it's another one of those that's kind of cut and come again. You can kind of cut it off, leave it about an inch or so, and then it'll grow back. And then down here on the bottom ring, I've got some more. This is spinach. I've got an older pea plant here. It just has one little pea that's starting to come out on it. It did have a huge vine, and I got maybe 8 or 9 peas off of it. You know, it's one of those things that just adds some interest to your salads. And then over here, I've got some tomato plants. And I've got some pretty good sized tomatoes, but I've got some of these little teeny tiny ones that are just now starting to turn. And again, they're one of those things that you can just add to a salad and it adds a little pop of flavor to it. And if I come on around to this side, I've got a little bit younger tomato plant that I just started and another pea plant. And then down here at the bottom, this is the plug that I use to add water, and then also it's where the cords come out. Alright, so this was kind of a quick introduction to my hydroponics system. We're definitely going to be revisiting it. So whenever I do the reset, I think that's going to be the best time for me to kind of talk about the nutrients and where I get the nutrients, what the nutrients are, and the whole process of getting this thing set up and running. So I'll do that in an upcoming video. I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction to it today. So this is something you're definitely going to be seeing more of on Bob's Live.